This is standard number 17, solving inequalities by multiplication and division. So last standard we talked about solving inequalities with addition and subtraction. This is going to be a little bit different because when I multiply or divide by a negative number, we have to flip the inequality symbol. Okay, this is very important to know. So this would mean if I had a greater than or equal to symbol and I divided or multiplied by a negative number, I would have to flip it to become a less than or equal to symbol. Okay, or let's say I had a less than symbol and I divided or multiplied by a negative number, I'd have to flip it to become a greater than symbol. So this is a very important note. Make sure we have this in our notes somewhere. All right, let's actually try a few examples together. So it tells me to solve and graph my inequality. So thinking back to solving equations, if I have 5 times x is greater than 30, in order to get rid of multiplication, I divide on both sides. So over here my 5's cancel out, I'm left with x is greater than, and then 30 divided by 5 gives me 6. Okay, so this is be my solution, x is greater than 6. So I'm going to draw my number line. I know that 6 needs to be on my number line since that's my solution, but then I'm also going to put a few numbers around it. Okay, just a quick review of open and closed circle. If I have a greater than or a less than symbol, I'm going to have an open circle at my solution. And then if I have greater than or equal to or less than or equal to, I have a closed circle. So in this example, since it's just a greater than symbol, I know I'm going to have an open circle. And then since it's greater than, I'm going to shade to the right. Okay, so know that my solution x is greater than 6 means that any number larger than 6 could be a solution for this inequality. So 7 could be a solution, 8, 9, 10, so on. All right, let's look at example 2. So same deal with example 2. Since I have negative 2 times k, I need to divide negative 2. Okay, so 16 divided by negative 2 is going to give me a negative 8. Since I divided by a negative number, so this was the important note that we made at the beginning, since I divided by a negative number, I have to flip my inequality symbol. So instead of being less than or equal to, it's going to become greater than or equal to, and then I'm going to bring down my k. All right, so if you remember back to last video, anytime my variable, like k, is on the right side, I always want to flip it to be on the left side. When I do that, I also have to flip my inequality symbol, okay? So with these types of problems, we may end up flipping our inequality symbol twice. All right, I'm going to sketch the graph of my number line, and then I'm going to put a few numbers. So I'm going to have negative 7, negative 8, and negative 9. Since I have this or equal to line underneath here, I know I'm going to have a closed circle at negative 8. And then this is a less than or equal to, so less than, I'm always going to shade left. So think less than left, less than left. All right, so with these types of examples, I have 7 is greater than or equal to x divided by 10. To get rid of division, I need to multiply. So I'm going to multiply by what's in the denominator. I'm going to multiply by 10 on both sides. So 10 times 7 is going to give me 70. I'm just going to bring down that inequality symbol since I did not multiply by a negative number. And then my 10's cancel out and I'm just left with x. So then the last thing we want to do, since my variable is on my right, I want to make sure to move it over to the left. So when I do that, I also have to flip my inequality symbol, okay? So I would have x is less than or equal to 70. When we graph this, I'm going to draw my number line. I'm going to put 69, 70, and 71. Since this is less than or equal to, I have a closed circle at 70. And since it's a less than symbol, I'm going to shade to the left. So this means that any solution that's less than 70, any number that's less than 70 would be a solution to my inequality. All right, last problem we're going to do together. If I have r divided by -2 is greater than 11, to get rid of division, I have to multiply -2. So when I do that, I'm going to bring down my r. Since I multiplied by a negative number, I have to flip my inequality symbol. This is now going to become a less than, and then 11 times -2 gives me a -22. So my solution is r less than -22. All right, so on my number line, I'm going to put -21, -22, and -23. Since it's just less than, I'm going to have an open circle at -22, and less than, I'm always going to shade to the left. All right, so pause the video, try these 3 problems on your own. When you're finished, unpause it and check your answers. So for number 1, I have -9 times x, so I'm just going to divide -9 on both sides. When I do that, I'm left with x over here. Since I divided by a negative number, I need to flip this inequality symbol. And then 27 divided by -9 is going to give me a -3. So my solution is x is less than -3. So now we have to graph this. On my graph, I'm going to put -3. I'm also going to have a -2 and a -4. Okay, so -2, -3, -4. Since it's just less than, I'm going to have an open circle at -3, and I'm going to shade to the left. All right, for number 2, to get rid of division, I have to multiply on both sides. So I'm going to multiply by a -5 on both sides. So -5 times 4 gives me a -20. Remember, since I multiplied by a negative number, I have to flip this inequality symbol. So it's now going to become less than or equal to, and then I'm going to bring down my x. All right, so since the variable is on the right-hand side, I need to flip it to the left-hand side. So when I do that, I have to flip my inequality symbol again. So I'm left with the solution x is greater than or equal to -20. So now I'm going to graph this on my number line. I'm going to put -19, -20, and -21. At -20, I'm going to have a closed circle, since I have that or equal to, and it's greater than or equal to, so I'm going to shade to the right. So I'm going to shade all my values that are greater than -20. All right, last example. I have a divided by 12 is less than 0. So again, to get rid of division, I multiply on both sides. When I do that, I'm going to bring down my a is less than, and then 0 times 12 just gives me 0. So a less than 0. We're going to draw our number line. I'm going to put a -1, a 0, and a 1 on my number line. Since this is less than, I'm going to have an open circle, and then less than, we're going to shade to the left.